Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. I'm Cassidy. If you're new here, it's nice to meet you, and if you are returning, welcome back. It's good to see you again. So today we're going to be talking about If It Bleeds by Stephen King. It is a collection of some of his short stories, 4 of them to be specific. So as always for these videos, massive spoilers for the entire video, so if you want to read any of these short stories without any spoilers, then click off the video, go read the book, click back on once you have. If you see me look down or off to the side, I'm simply referring back to my notebook so I don't forget to tell you guys anything I want to inform you about. And if anybody is interested, this is the bookmark I was using while reading this book. It's double-sided. It's just a little drawing I got of a little voodoo doll. So, while this book does have 4 short stories inside of it, one of which is technically the second in the Holly series, the first one being The Outsider, today we're only going to be talking about Mr. Harrigan's phone. So I'm going to be reading the entire back of the book, and then I'll just reread the part about Mr. Harrigan's phone, which is the short story that we'll be discussing today. So, Stephen King's novellas are their own dark treat, briefer but just as moving and enduring as his longer fiction. Many of his novellas have been made into iconic films, including The Body, in parentheses, Stand By Me, and Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption, parentheses, The Shawshank Redemption. King's spectacular range is on display in the 4 iconic new tales and If It Bleeds. In the title story, Holly Gibney, from the Mr. Mercedes trilogy and The Outsider, must face her fears and possibly another outsider, this time on her own. In Mr. Harrigan's phone, an intergenerational friendship has a disturbing afterlife. The Life of Chuck explores how each of us contains multitudes, and in Rat, a struggling writer contends with the darker side of ambition. If one of King's great concerns is evil, there's plenty of it in If It Bleeds. There's also evil's opposite, which in King's fiction often manifests as friendship. And King reminds us that life's quotidian pleasures are even more glorious because they are fleeting. The outrageous good fortune of a beautiful blue day after a string of gray ones, the delight of dancing when every move feels perfect. It's in these moments that King's ability to describe pure joy rivals his ability to terrify us. Alright, so once again, today's video is going to be specifically about Mr. Harrigan's phone. So in Mr. Harrigan's phone, an intergenerational friendship has a disturbing afterlife. Alright, so let's get into the story. So the main character is Craig. It starts out with him being a young boy in a very small town, like 600 people. And he lives with his dad. His mom died pretty young, so it's just him and his dad. But he does work for Mr. Harrigan. Mr. Harrigan being a really old man, like 80s, 90s probably. And he reads to him like 2 times a week, something like that, after school for an hour or 2. And Mr. Harrigan does pay him in cash, but he also gives him a card and a scratch-off ticket 4 times a year to like thank him for everything. I can't remember the exact dates, but they're like, it's Craig's birthday, it's Christmas, I think it's Valentine's Day, and maybe Easter. I can't remember the other day. Craig's dad always jokes around that Mr. Harrigan is pretty cheap because he's a really rich old man and he could definitely afford to pay Craig more. He says this as a joke, but there is definitely a hint of truth behind it. Mr. Harrigan actually asked Craig to do this job for him because he heard Craig read at church one day, and he was like, he reads very well, like not too fast, not too slow, there's emotion in his voice. I would really like for him to read to me. And Mr. Harrigan's like, I'm old, can't read as easily by myself, will your son do it? He talked to Craig's dad. The dad agreed on the condition, well, one, that his son agreed, which Craig did, but also that none of what they read would be political, violent, or like graphic in any kind of a way. Mr. Harrigan agrees, however, they don't really follow that rule. They definitely did for the first book or 2, but then after that, it slowly gets into more political or more graphic or more violent nature, and Craig likes reading these books. He likes knowing these stories, so he doesn't tell his dad. And it is it's not like it's horribly inappropriate for Craig's age either. Craig's dad bought him a phone, an iPhone to be specific, something Craig desperately wanted. He was so excited to get it, and he used it all the time. It was like the first iPhone ever, and Craig was thrilled. Then, in one of his lottery scratch-off tickets that he got from Mr. Harrigan, he actually won $3,000. And so he called Mr. Harrigan, so excited, and he's like, oh my god, thank you so much. Mr. Harrigan offers to invest it for him. Mr. Harrigan made all of his money being a businessman. I don't know if it was in the financial district or not, but he knows a lot about this stuff. So he's like, give me the money and I'll invest it for you. And Craig agrees, but not all of the money. He also wants to buy Mr. Harrigan an iPhone. He wants it to use it as a thank you. And his dad's like, Craig, Mr. Harrigan is not going to want that. He's too old. And Craig's like, I know, but like, I want to do it for him. His dad's like, fine. But when he says no and doesn't want it, give me the phone. And Craig's like, fine, deal. So Craig presents Mr. Harrigan the iPhone. He immediately rejects it. He's like, I'm too old for this kind of technology. No, take it away. But then Craig has a plan because he knew this is how it was going to happen. So he shows him the stocks app that's on iPhones and how you can like look at real time at the different stock options that are live. It's only like a couple minutes delayed, not like an entire day like normal. Normal for Mr. Harrigan anyway. And he also shows him that you can access news and news articles on your phone. You don't have to wait for the newspaper to come. And on holidays and stuff, or when Postman's delayed or whatever, you can still access the stories. And Mr. Harrigan is now very intrigued. He also states that it's really weird that you can just access all this stuff for free. You have to pay for a newspaper. Like, there's no ads. There's nothing. Not even on YouTube are there ads. Which, obviously, as everybody knows, that has definitely changed now. There are ads everywhere. You can't read anything online without paying for it, which is fair, but also kind of annoying. But Mr. Harrigan now accepts the phone, so his dad doesn't get an iPhone. But Mr. Harrigan does. Mr. Harrigan uses the phone a ton. Like, he loves to check out the different apps and everything that it can do. He does frequently ask Craig for help because he is a very old man and doesn't know how to use it. And Craig is more than happy to oblige. Like, now, during their, like, reading sessions, a lot of times it will start or end with Mr. Harrigan asking about the phone and a question he has, and Craig will answer it. We later find that Mr. Harrigan wanted to move to their extremely small town and did move there because he wanted a nice, quiet place to retire, somewhere with a nice view, but not super nice view because he didn't want this town to be too touristy. He wanted his peace and quiet. Then eventually ads and spam start coming to email, to YouTube, to all these different websites that previously didn't have any of this stuff. And Mr. Harrigan predicts that Amazon is going to be a huge thing, like massive, which of course it is, which frustrates me. I love Amazon. I use it way too much, but I also really, really hate Amazon, and I hate the amazing shipping. Do not like Amazon, but I use it way too much because it's so efficient and it's so easy. Then one day, on one of Craig's normal reading to Mr. Harrigan days, he notes that Mr. Harrigan is in his recliner, and he's like, oh, that's weird. He usually doesn't have his nap yet. He goes up to him, and he realizes that Mr. Harrigan has passed away. He was the one to find him. He's scared. He thinks he has this vision of Mr. Harrigan, like, standing up and grabbing his arm or something. But I feel like that's kind of a normal fear. He was pretty young. I think he's still like 13-ish at this time. So Craig calls the police. He goes to wait outside because he doesn't want to be in the house with Mr. Harrigan's body. But before that, he grabs Mr. Harrigan's phone because he wants something of his. And that phone is so special to the two of them. It was something that he was able to give Mr. Harrigan. At Mr. Harrigan's funeral, Craig notes that nobody whose family is there. Mr. Harrigan doesn't have any nieces or nephews or cousins, children or grandchildren at the funeral. It's all business associates and people in the town. Mr. Harrigan was very generous to the town, so most of the town, actually I don't want to say most, a lot of the town did show up. The pastor said really nice words about him, which you could tell the business associates were like, Mr. Harrigan, really? But when Craig goes up to say goodbye to him at the viewing and everything, how everyone goes up, says bye to the body, or well, person, I guess, technically. Craig gives Mr. Harrigan his phone back, but he also writes in a really sweet message in the Notes app saying, "Thank you so much for everything you've done for me. It was an honor to work for you. Thank you for all those scratch-off lottery tickets." It was a really sweet message. He puts the phone in Mr. Harrigan's pocket, jacket pocket, I'm assuming, and they bury Mr. Harrigan. Mr. Harrigan's lawyer then comes up to Craig and his dad, and we find out that Mr. Harrigan put Craig in his will. He left Craig $800,000, leaving his dad as the trustee until Craig is of age. And the lawyer is going to help invest that money as well. So Craig's dad takes back everything he said about Mr. Harrigan being cheap or stingy, because he's like, oh my god, that's so much money. They're in shock, because Craig just read to Mr. Harrigan a couple times a week and got him a phone. He wanted, I don't think it's out of left field to be put in the will, but leaving that much money is insane. Mr. Harrigan wrote a note to Craig explaining everything, but there is also a PS in that note basically stating, "You're welcome for this scratch-off lottery tickets," which is super weird because Craig obviously wrote that in the Notes app of Mr. Harrigan's phone after Mr. Harrigan had already passed. So why was that there? Craig wanted to hear Mr. Harrigan's voice again that night, so he calls him and leaves him a message basically stating, "I miss you." Again, pretty sweet, and also, I think, kind of standard for people going through grief. And then the next morning, he gets a text from Mr. Harrigan's phone. It's just numbers and letters. It doesn't make any sense, but Craig screams. He's like, "Dad, we have to go unbury Mr. Harrigan. He got buried alive. We have to go save him. He's going to run out of oxygen." And Dad's like, "What are you talking about?" And so Craig tells him about the text message, and his dad's like, "You got spoofed. Somebody, that's not Mr. Harrigan, because Mr. Harrigan lived alone, and he was alone when he passed away. An autopsy had to happen. He was cut open. His organs were taken out. Mr. Harrigan is dead. I am so sorry. I know you're going through grief. He's not alive anymore. I promise." Craig decides to go to Mr. Harrigan's house, see if he can, I don't want to say, take something, because that sounds, greedy, but, see if he can have something to remember him by. That sounds better. And the house cleaner is there. She's also doing the same thing. They talk for a little bit, and the house cleaner states that Mr. Harrigan was an extremely nice man, as long as you did not get on his bad side. She states that the gardener that Mr. Harrigan was using now wasn't his first gardener landscaper. There was a man before him who stole from Mr. Harrigan, and Mr. Harrigan ruined his entire life. The man had to leave town. So he was extremely nice, as long as you were on his good side. Craig also takes home 4 of his plants to help remember him by. And I think the house cleaner takes home some as well. Then Craig starts high school in a new town, because their small town closed all the schools basically. So they have to be bused to a different high school in a different town. There's 4 of them, these friends. Craig is one, and he instantly gets into it with a bully. The bully's name is Kenny. And Kenny's just an asshole. He's a bully, and he's a kid. But he does not like Craig, and Craig, when dealing with Kenny, channels his inner Mr. Harrigan, and, doesn't let Kenny get under his skin, doesn't really engage, he's like, "Oh yeah, it's fine," and that infuriates Kenny. He wants to get under Craig's skin. Eventually, Kenny does end up getting expelled, not just because of Craig. A lot of other things happened. He was already on thin ice, but he does get expelled. Then school dance happens. He goes with his friends, and Kenny comes, and he beats Craig up, pretty badly. I don't think Craig had any broken bones, but he beats him up. And so the kids grab a teacher, and it's the beloved teacher that everyone really loves. She takes Craig aside and all the kids are there. She like kind of patches him up, like putting Neosporin band-aids on him. And she's like, it was Kenny, wasn't it? Because she knows. And Craig's like, I don't know who it was. I didn't see him. And she's like, it was totally Kenny. So she knows exactly who it was. But Craig refuses to give Kenny up. Craig's dad also gets called. He gives all the kids a ride home. And Craig's dad also doesn't believe Craig when he states that he doesn't know who beat him up. But the dad doesn't push him any further on it. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to overstep. Craig will tell him if he wants to, when he wants to. That night, Craig calls Mr. Harrigan's phone and tells him what happened, that this bully Kenny beat him up pretty badly. And he's mad at him, but, you know, like normal things. He's just venting, really. The next day, we find out that Kenny is no longer alive. He unalived himself. And Craig instantly thinks of his phone call to Mr. Harrigan and feels so guilty. There's no reason for him to feel guilty. Mr. Harrigan is dead. He just called his number, and he did note that it was really strange that the voicemail was still, like, active. Like, the battery should have ran out long ago. It should have been disabled. Like, he shouldn't have been able to hear Mr. Harrigan's voicemail. He's like, oh, weird glitch. It was the first iPhone. Like, talks himself out of that being weird. But he can't help but think of Mr. Harrigan and the fact that he vented to him, to his phone, about what Kenny did to him. He also remembered what the house cleaner had said, that you don't want to be on Mr. Harrigan's bad side. And Mr. Harrigan obviously really cared for Craig, so if you're on Craig's bad side, you're on Mr. Harrigan's bad side. However, that beloved teacher also pulls Craig aside, and she's like, hey, this isn't your fault. She obviously doesn't know anything about Mr. Harrigan, but she knows that Craig and Kenny didn't get along and that they had a scuffle right before Kenny hung himself. She's like, this is not your fault. Kenny had other issues going on. Their preacher ends up saying the same thing to Craig as well. Craig had confided in the preacher about everything, and the preacher's like, this isn't your fault. Like, people have demons inside of them that sometimes you just can't do anything about. Craig also called Mr. Harrigan's phone again. Was this you? Why'd you do it? All that. He gets a text back in the morning. It's just numbers and letters again. Now it's time to actually enter high school. I was wrong previously. It was a different middle school that they had to go to, not a high school. My bad. But it's time to enter high school. And that beloved teacher is going with them. Craig makes a new friend in high school whose dad is a cop and was there at the scene of Kenny's unaliving. And the dad told this new friend which the new friend told Craig, that Kenny didn't want to unalive himself. He choked himself while fapping and couldn't undo the knot, which, what an idiot. But the weird thing about him was that his hair was streaked white, or I don't know if it was just a streak or the entire head of hair was white, and they couldn't tell why. They didn't know why. It was like he had seen something that really scared him. Craig gets a new phone, calls Mr. Harrigan's phone, and gets nothing. Like, it's no longer in service. He doesn't get Mr. Harrigan's voicemail, and Craig can't help but feel so relieved. Mr. Harrigan's house goes up for sale. A couple people look. They're like, oh my god, it's gorgeous. Doesn't really get sold because it's not a touristy area and the view isn't fabulous. It's a good view, but not a fabulous one. Craig goes through life. He goes through high school, goes to college. Every once in a while, he put flowers on Mr. Harrigan's grave and a scratch-off lottery ticket to remember him by. Then that beloved teacher and her husband both die in a car accident because a young adult was driving drunk. And when he goes for sentencing, he gets off with a slap on the wrist because his daddy's rich and pays everybody off that needs to happen. He's done this more than once. I don't know if he's vehicular manslaughtered people before, but he never gets punishment because he's a little rich boy. And Craig is so in his grief and so distraught, so mad that nothing happened to this man, that he finds his old iPhone, his first iPhone, and calls Mr. Harrigan. And he gets his voicemail. And he tells Mr. Harrigan what happened. My favorite teacher of all time she died in a car accident because somebody drove drunk and he didn't get punished. I want him dead. And then we find out the next day that the boy who vehicular manslaughtered the teacher and her husband unalived himself. He wrote a note, and in the note was a line from one of Mr. Harrigan's favorite songs. Craig then gets a text on that old iPhone from Mr. Harrigan. Again, it's just numbers and letters, but Craig knows that's Mr. Harrigan pleading basically with Craig to stop this. Mr. Harrigan will do it until the end of Craig's time, but he's like, this isn't good for you. You should stop. So Craig calls Mr. Harrigan's phone one more time and thanks him again for everything he's done for Craig in his whole life. And then he throws his old iPhone into the lake. He goes to throw his new iPhone into the lake as well, but decides against it. He is too addicted now. And that, my friends, is the story of Mr. Harrigan's phone. And what did it say? The intergenerational friendship has a disturbing afterlife. So if anyone has read this story and you've seen those like text messages, I would like to know what you guys think each text message said. It was probably like, oh, I miss you too. Like, you should really, like, I took care of this guy for you, but you should stop. Okay, you really need to stop now. Because I think he only got 3 text messages from Mr. Harrigan's phone after he passed. But I would love to hear what you guys thought down below. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!